JJ, can you still be buzzed and have a hangover at the same time? What were you doing on an airplane? Episode 171 of We Were Gamers, an intro, the second time.
What was I doing? Andrew, I was trying to get home because that's the only reason I was on an airplane.
Cramming your legs into the size of a tuna can.
Yeah. I was in Indianapolis this past weekend, the Labor Day weekend, for a wedding of a friend of the pod. And yeah, congratulations to him and his new wife. That's really awesome. We had a really great time.
Do they have family in Indy? I don't want to pry.
Oh,
much.
sure.
Is that why Indy, or was it like,
yes,
hey, we're a bunch of nerds and we should have it where Gen Con is?
No. The wife's family is from Indianapolis.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right,
but it was really fun. It was in downtown Indianapolis, so very near where Gen Con were, and be. And it also took place this weekend. Andrew, do you know what was going on in Indianapolis this weekend? Besides this great wedding that I went to, right?
I saw some photographs of beers.
Yeah, it turns out there's a lot of breweries in Indianapolis, and we had some time to kill, so we tried a lot of them. Okay,
I have not been there since being of legal drinking age.
Same,
and well.
It was pretty fun.
A different podcast.
Right. It was pretty fun. We went to a distillery. That was pretty cool. And several different Indianapolis breweries. One housed inside a church.
Sweet. A functioning church?
No. Oh. A previously functioning church that is now functioning as a restaurant and bar.
You know what? Can we make a bar church?
Dude, I wish, man. This restaurant has a whole menu, insert of like the story or whatever. The church was built in like the 1880s, and it was one of it was like the third parish in Indianapolis or something. And eventually the church moved to a bigger church, but they still owned the land or whatever, and they eventually sold it to private developers, in like the 1920s or something. And I forget, they used it as like a meeting room and some other stuff. And then eventually these people bought it and built a brewery named St. Joseph's inside it. And you like walk into, it looks like an old cathedral, right? Almost that kind of style. It's not quite as big as maybe like a real cathedral would be, but it's that style. And, you walk into the door and there's like a beer prayer in Latin in stained glass above the doorway. And, it feels like you're walking into a church, and like, it was very funny, except, in the back where the like cross would be up in the top of the like cross shaped church.
Parapet?
Is just a bunch. No,
it's not a parapet.
No, it's just a giant bunch of brewing tanks.
We should do that, man. We should start a church. Hear ye, hear ye. The service of Yingling is about to begin.
Yingling's already a beer, man. Don't get us sued before we even start.
Oh, I was just trying to come up with something that would be popular in Indiana.
It is. I saw Yingling at a lot of places, so it definitely someone is drinking it there.
They don't seem like a Blue Moon kind of state.
Yeah, did I see Blue Moon? We went to a lot of like hipster cocktail bars and stuff also, so there were definitely places that were serving like Hefeweizens and other craft beer.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember Blue Moon specifically being on any of them.
I mean, out here it'd probably be like, oh, Nomini Patre, 805 for all you.
Yeah. If you guys, if people go to my Instagram, I posted it on there. The prayer is in Latin, and it's like, thank you, God, for this creature beer that you have brought forth from the sweetness of the wheat or something.
I'm talking about.
It's really good.
This is what I'm talking about.
And their beer was okay, but it was like really fun.
We can make this a service. You got TVs on the side. You know, like you got the pastor at the front. Everyone gets a little beer for benediction. And then, TVs on the sides for football.
Amen. It was really fun. That was super cool. And actually, we stopped in an arcade bar for a while this weekend. So I technically played video games this weekend.
Have you been to any of the arcade bars out here? Because they're mostly pinball.
So I've been to one in San Diego a couple times. And it has quite a few, like arcade cabinet video game type things, but also several pinball tables. But the thing that always annoyed me about that place is that you have to then go take your cash to a change machine to get change to play all the games. This place just had all the machines on free play.
Wait, what?
Yeah. And it was
drinks
huge.
Like super expensive? I don't understand.
I mean, the drinks were expensive for Indianapolis, but cheap for me. Okay, so
hold on. I'm sure you meant that to be cheap for us from this area, but also like it came off like I don't really care about money.
I mean, I guess it kind of felt that way. So in some cases, Indianapolis is while a big city, is not that big of a city compared with like San Diego, most of Orange County, LA, San Francisco, New York, that kind of big city. So it is a small, big city. There's a college in there, so it's pretty sizable. They have a minor league baseball team.
I think they have less than 1 million people, roughly.
Yeah. In the downtown area, it's not that densely populated.
I think the whole county, is less than 1 million, whereas San Diego County is probably in the teens of millions.
It's probably lower than that, but yeah, it's like 8 or 9 or something like that. Probably. It's a lot. Oh yeah, the whole county. Anyway, there's a lot of people. But the point is that, so, there are bars that you could go into down there that are like, hey man, our draft specials are like $3 and $4 beers.
Okay. You're like, so that's the draft special.
Yeah, and it's like, today that's like, I'm trying to think of like, it's not like always, like Stella or something like that, right?
Okay.
It's not like Bud Light. Bud Light is like $2.
$2?
For like a 16-ounce can, yeah.
That's like drinking in Vegas.
Yeah, it's very cheap. And so, then you go to this bar with craft beer, and it's like the beers are now $5 and $6, Andrew.
I think we have to go home. I can't afford this place.
And that's a lot, compared with the other place, right?
Sure.
But, then it's like $6 beers and like, $8.50 for a cocktail. And that's like getting up there. But that's like the highest end specialty cocktails with, like premium liquor and all that stuff.
Did you know?
So you're like,
Yingling versus Blue Moon is kind of like a thing.
Do they even taste the same?
No, but like popularity, like states next to each other are kind of angry about who likes what.
You can't get Yingling in the West Coast, so it's like not a thing.
Yeah, the whole West Coast is dominated by Firestone 805.
Right.
Or like Corona.
There's a lot of Mexican beer influence down here in the southern.
But it sounds like that direction of the country is like either you like Blue Moon or you like Yingling.
I think there's definitely like so at least in all the bars we were going to craft breweries and bars serving craft beer. So the people we're going to run into were all drinking it. But there was like certainly people that were there ordering Coors Light. But then there were also people there like, with like 8 tasters of everything they had on tap. So it was really cool. And all the arcade machines were on free play. Which was fun.
Oh, we're talking about games still.
Well, I was going to talk about games for a sec. Andrew, when was the last time you... podcast? Maybe we come back around. Andrew, when was the last time you played an arcade machine?
Thanks to a friend of the pod, Ken, recently.
Okay. It takes some getting used to, right?
A little bit. Depends on what you're trying for. I mean, fighting games, yes, a lot.
Yeah.
Time Crisis, not really. The field comes back.
Sure.
I don't. So, they're all kind of different.
These were mostly classic arcade games. There was a few like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Street Fighter 2,
all right,
and like Mortal Kombat 3. But like by and large, it's like
you're doing like
original
Joust?
Punch Out. Yes, Joust was there. I didn't play Joust. There was a line like Burger Time.
So those tend to have like a input. There's something weird about that era of games that I haven't figured out yet because I haven't had enough time to play them. But like, there's an input lag or something.
So all those games were meant to be run on CRTs. Firstly, which turned out not to be a problem here because these are all like full authentic arcade cabinets as far as I could tell. CRT monitors, old ass parts. Like none of this was running on emulators as far as I could tell. But there is all the controls for. There's no standardized controls for anything. Every single game has different buttons and different layouts, and the joystick works slightly differently for every single one.
Man, have you tried to play the, what is it called? Mission. What's the one with the missile? Missile Command.
Oh, dude, Missile Command is impossible. It has the trackball
with all the 3 trackballs.
Yeah, you got to spin the ball and then like click to launch the missile, right? And then you got to like, there are little pointers all over the screen. You're trying to stop the missiles from blowing up your town, which inevitably gets blown up within the first 20 seconds.
Sure.
Missile Command is a great game to play on your PC.
Mouse, click.
Via an emulator. And use the mouse. Yeah, it's way easier. But yeah, playing it with a trackball like you're supposed to is really hard.
No kidding.
Yeah. So they had like, like stuff like Donkey Kong and Robotron. What's the racing game? I forget. One of those really old school racing games.
Cruis'n USA.
No, that's way too new. Like International, like Off-Road or something.
Ooh.
Yeah. But it was cool. And man, arcade games are hard, dude.
No
like
kidding.
I remember playing Burger Time as a kid. Did you ever play Burger Time?
No, I don't think I did. I don't think that was one of the ones that made it through our little pizza joint that we had all our arcade games at.
I definitely played it at like a pizza place, but then I think I also had an NES card of it or something at some point. Because I remember playing a lot of Burger Time, like more than should have been possible paying quarters. But you essentially control this little dude who's like a chef, right? And then there's ladders all over the field, and stacked up are like parts of a hamburger. The bottom bun, and then a patty, and like some lettuce, and then some cheese, and then the top bun on the top or whatever.
Sure.
And then there's all these little like food things, like an egg and a hot dog and a pickle that try to kill you.
Isn't there a new version of this?
Yeah, totally. Someone owns this.
Overcooked. What is it called?
Overcooked is not this. But
this is the one like where you got to make all the food, though, right?
No. So what you're doing is you're trying to walk up ladders up to the top of the stage and like walk across the top of the hamburger so that it falls down.
Oh, I see.
And sort of like chain reaction causes all the bun pieces below it to fall down. And the ladders are laid out in some kind of weird configuration for every stage.
Because arcades.
And, it's just like you have pretty simple controls, right? Left, right, up, down, move your dude, left and right, or up and down. And press one button, you can throw pepper, which like attacks, one square in front of you. You have like 6 peppers total for your life. And that's it.
Were you thinking of Road Blasters?
Dude, I'm thinking of Road Blasters.
You're thinking of Road Blasters?
Yeah. You drive and you shoot stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And they had some pinball tables and stuff too. They had a few skee ball lanes upstairs.
That's what you want.
Huge line for skee ball.
What about air hockey?
I didn't see any air hockey. Outside, they had like, giant Jenga and Connect 4.
If you're going to drink a beer, I think as an adult, you should have to play a match of air hockey so you pinch your fingers.
Painful. I understand why you want to do that, but I don't want to do that. Anyway, that place was really cool.
What's your jam these days? Like having gone back and played a classic arcade game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I actually don't like This is a bad example because I do like Pac-Man, but like if you sat down and you played Pac-Man and didn't like it, can I think of a game I didn't like that I actually tried to play? What's the one with the worm?
Caterpillar?
Is that what I'm thinking of?
Or Centipede?
Centipede, maybe?
Yeah, okay. You go back and forth and you try to like shoot the pieces of the thing as it's coming down at you through the forest.
It might be Centipede.
Yeah, I think that's Centipede.
Okay. So like I went to a barcade a long, long time ago. I didn't like Centipede that much. But I did play Joust and I loved it. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah.
Was there a revelation for you of like these old games kind of suck, but also these ones are good?
Some of them. Yeah, so like I played Space Invaders, original Space Invaders on a cabinet, right? That game is impossible because the controls are terrible. I don't know how anyone ever played that game and thought it was fun. I guess you had nothing to compare it to because you walk right next to that machine and you play like Joust, and then I think Burger Time was like a few down. And anyway, but like you're like, why would you ever play this Space Invaders? Even though, you know, Space Invaders is the like one of the original kind of games in arcades from way back. But like you can only move the ship in like discrete jumps. It's not like a fluid movement with the stick. And the fire button is like super limited by how many shots you can have on screen. So there's no point in spamming it. You can just hit it like 3 times and then that's all the bullets they can render.
Yep.
And so that consequently that makes playing Space Invaders really hard.
They're very slow.
Yeah, it's a long game for sure. And you know, you got the little things to hide under as they drop the things down on you. You know, but I thought that was interesting to play because I don't think I've ever played Space Invaders before that. It was a fun game, but again, really hard. What else did I enjoy? I mean, so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a great game.
I have to.
Yeah.
Does Indiana make good beer? We didn't really cover it. You said you went to a craft place.
We went to several, actually. We went to Sun King Brewery. We went to that the one in the church called St. Joseph's. We went to...
If we're going to open a craft beer church,
City,
are we going to do it in Indiana?
I think they have churches available for you. That would at least be a thing.
They're going to need church this football season.
I think the several people, you know, while we were taking various ride-sharing services around town,
wanted to talk about the Andrew Lux.
Or they mentioned it when they heard we were from San Diego. They're like, "Oh yeah, the Chargers, man," and we're like, "Yeah."
Except
and they're
not.
like, "Well," they're like, "Our team sucks now too." It's, you know, I don't know. I think the idea is fun no matter where you are, as long as you have people that are mildly religious. The problem is with the church beer thing, you really got to play it like pretty straight. Okay. You can't be all like blasphemous about it.
But can they actually?
People are going to get mad.
But can they actually brew beer out there?
Yeah,
no
I think
hate,
there's some good stuff.
Just want to know, what's their jam on beer?
Dude, we got styles all over the map. I tried several kinds of Belgians. There was Sun King had a bunch of barrel aged stuff that was pretty good. What were some of the other good ones? Indiana City had like a Scottish wee heavy that was pretty good.
Oh, I love Scotch beers.
Yeah, nice dark malt. I personally like the like dark and malty stuff. I'm not as into the IPAs, although I had at least one IPA that was pretty good.
Yeah.
A lot more like New England style stuff than West Coast style, right? Sure. IPAs. So, I mean, you can kind of guess why that is. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, definitely like a lot. It feels like craft beer felt in San Diego before it got way corporate. That's how it felt to me. So definitely, there's just like a couple of the breweries went into, and they're just like, yeah, man, we're just trying stuff. And like, you know, you can totally tell they are just trying stuff because like, you know, all their taps are written in chalk and they've been like erasing them, you know. And they're just like, you know, oh yeah, This one was good, so we kept it. This one is not good, so this is the last of it.
Oh, man. They came in with 20 recipes all ready to go to sell to Budweiser.
Yeah, I don't know, but it certainly was interesting just to see like people really just trying stuff,
Cool.
Yeah, it was a really fun time. I'll tell you what wasn't a fun time though. Trying to leave.
Oh no. State of Indiana had hold of you and they didn't want to let you go.
It really felt like that, honestly.
Well, they need engineers out there.
I mean, I guess, but they were doing a bad job of convincing me to stay by canceling my flight twice.
Oh, man.
Yeah. We got one flight canceled before we even left. Our return flight was changed.
Okay.
No explanation given, just here's your new flight now. Instead of a direct flight, you now have a flight with 2 layovers.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Direct
to
2 layovers?
Yeah, the direct flight completely canceled, no longer exists. And the route you're now on now has 2 layovers.
No, thank you.
I call them. I'm like, hey, this is not what I want to do. And they're like, oh, yeah, we understand. No worries, sir. We can make this right. Yeah, we got it. And
hold on. That's your customer service voice?
They were just very calm, making sure, sir, I understand you're really angry, and
were you really angry? Because I would doubt.
Well, I was, I was polite but upset.
Politely upset.
I try to not yell at customer service people on the phone. I don't think it generally accomplishes anything.
It's not their fault.
No, it's not their fault. But you want to explain your situation, explain why you're unhappy, and be like, look, this sucks. What can you do to help me?
Hold on, you have to do the rest in customer service voice.
Sir, okay, we're working on it. Well, just let me punch in your name here, and, Okay, yeah, I see what's going on. Okay. Yeah, so that kind of stuff. And then he's like, oh, yeah, okay, we can book you back through Phoenix, and then get back into LAX. Because the direct flight was LAX to Indianapolis.
So now you've changed flights within 24 hours.
So this is before we left, to be clear, right? We have not left the state of California yet. We were planning to. There was a direct flight from LAX to Indianapolis. We were going to be on it the next morning. Okay. That flight happened, and they rebooked us on this flight on the way back through Phoenix. It was like a layover in Phoenix and then come back to LAX. So start and end, same place. Everything is okay. The timing wasn't great, but it wasn't that different from what we were doing before. Maybe a little earlier. That's fine. Whatever. So
Smash cut.
So we were flying Southwest. The day before the flight, we get up early to log in and get our boarding passes, as you do on Southwest.
Are we giving them advertising, or are we shooting them a raw look?
You got to know, because it's part of the situation. And because, it's 24 hours check-in, right? That's how Southwest works.
Yeah, it is. You got to get your A group.
24 hours, right. So exactly 24 hours before, at 6:58 a.m. or whatever it was, I woke up and I jammed that check-in button. We got our A group passes. Great. Went back to sleep. Everything was good.
Punch it hard.
Yep. And we were out, doing some stuff, sightseeing the town a little bit, and then came back to the room to rest. I get a text. Your flight has been canceled. Visit southwest.com to rebook. Cool.
I've thrown my phone.
At it was like 12:30 in the afternoon.
The day before your flight.
The day before the flight.
Great.
So now, no matter what I'm going to rebook on, the 24-hour window will have already closed,
yeah,
right?
You're going to get seats by the bathroom.
I'm going to get C98 or whatever the last one they have is, right?
Yep. Not traveling together, that's for sure.
I rebook. They gave me some options of other airports if I wanted to check them out. So I was like, all right, well, maybe I can fly into Santa Ana at least, or Orange County. That's a little less terrible airport to fly into in terms of getting to and whatnot from my parents' house anyway. So I checked that, and yeah, there were some connections we could make to get there. Connection single one. We're like, okay, well, like, I'll book this and we'll see what happens.
Don't
and
do
yeah,
it.
obviously you get like C90 whatever.
Sure.
Call the customer service person and I'm like, look, this is garbage.
Not okay.
Yeah, what the heck? And he's like, this hurricane is coming in.
Wait. You got it. That's not soft enough.
Sir, I understand. The hurricane is coming and planes are really just.
I'm in Indianapolis.
And I'm like,
nowhere near a hurricane.
I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but it's not like you're taking the plane from Indianapolis that is heading west and re-diverting it to go east. That's not how. Anyway, so they're using excuses. They can't help me. So the only person that can help us is the gate agent. The next morning at 4:30 or whatever, whenever we can get to the airport. Cool.
Did you just say 4:30 in the morning?
Oh, it's a 6:55 a.m. flight.
Oh my!
That's 6:55 a.m. Indianapolis, which is East Coast time.
Oh my!
Yeah.
Have you been up?
Yeah.
You had some coffee?
I had stuff. Yeah, eventually at some point. I don't know where I am, what time it is, what day it is. I feel like I've been awake for 43 hours.
Man.
So we get to the airport, and we stand in line and talk to the gate agent, and I'm like, hey, look, we don't really have any bags to check here, but this is what happened to us. Like 2 of our flights have been canceled now. Is this plane even going to take off? Like, what's going on?
I don't trust you anymore. Stop
and she's
hurting
like,
me.
I feel really sorry, sir. Like, all this.
I feel really sorry, sir. I'm not going to help you. That's the beginning of that sentence.
No, that's not true. She was nice.
Right.
And thanks to my wife's foot injury, we were able to get pre-boarding.
Thanks to a foot injury? Not thanks to a foot injury. What?
Well, having a foot injury is bad.
Yeah.
But she twisted her ankle a little. Is not a problem, really.
Gosh.
But we were acting pathetic here, and in order to get, what we wanted was to not be in Group C, right? But they can't do that,
right?
Because they can't take someone else's boarding pass away and give it to you.
Okay.
So your only options are either to get family boarding, right, which we are 2 adults, so that's not it, or we have to have some kind of medical condition to get pre-boarding.
Mm-hmm.
Well, her knee injury means she can't sit in a middle seat, so we have to have pre-boarding.
Gotcha. Sounds right.
So we got to board with all the like old people in wheelchairs. I'm pretty sure everyone thought we were like airline employees or something. Because we would like walk on like before the business class people.
Oh yeah.
Even. Yeah.
I like it.
So they made it right. They gave us some meal vouchers which are good for $7 in the airport. We bought orange juice and water because that's how much $7 is in an airport.
Yep, there you go.
Even in Indianapolis, that's $7 in an airport.
In LA, it'd be $14. So you got lucky.
Yeah, and $50 travel vouchers for each ticket that we had. So, which you could call Southwest and be nice to them on the phone, and I think they'll give you $50 travel vouchers.
I know. Yeah.
So, but whatever. It's not that bad. We made it home eventually. It was kind of sketch, and then our flight in Denver. So then we connected through Denver instead, right? Not Phoenix. That Phoenix flight was canceled. Denver airport, I have no complaints about. It's a really nice airport in general, but the flight we were connecting in from Denver to Orange County was delayed for like a good hour for no explanation whatsoever. It was just late. Everyone was like, "What the hell's going on?" The plane was in the air, but it was just like super, super late, and it took off on time. So everyone was like, "What?"
Well, it's a hurricane, JJ.
Yeah, it must have been the hurricane. The plane did eventually land, and they deboarded everyone, and they got us on and everything. And after we have taken off and are flying away, the pilot comes over the intercom and is like, thanks to all you for waiting. We're sorry we were so late. We had to make an emergency landing because there was a medical issue, and we had to get someone off the plane.
Oh.
Cool.
Great. Could you have not told me that?
Yeah, I didn't need to know that.
Yeah. Oh. The things they tell you sometimes, I don't know.
Indianapolis was trying really hard to keep me there, and we escaped somehow.
Yeah. It's about planes, trains, and automobiles time there,
Yeah, it definitely felt like it for sure. So yeah, I've been awake a long time, so if I'm rambling or incoherent, that's why.
It's okay, man. We're a true duo today. It was a holiday. It was hot outside. There was beer.
Yeah. Hey, man.
Mm-hmm.
What else are you gonna do? I'm not even
heat
mad.
stroke is what you're gonna do.
Heat stroke.
I don't. Right?
Sheesh.
Oh, I shouldn't joke. Somebody had that at the football game I went to this weekend. It was not funny.
How was the football game, man?
Too hot to stay and watch all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't plan your football games for 1 PM when it's 95 degrees. Just don't do it.
That's not great.
Or find a way to shade your stadium somehow.
Mm-hmm.
That goes for everybody. Straight up. NFL, college, shade your stadiums. Yeah, it's time. Like, spend the money.
And you know, with the way the climate is changing, it seems like the summer lasts longer and the winter starts later. We might have to adjust football season to start in like October and November.
Yeah.
So that it's actually cold all the time instead of sometimes being 97 degrees.
It was intensely hot. It felt like I was being fried like an egg. That's
not great.
It was not fun.
I guess it's also probably like tons of metal all around and stuff too, so it was very reflective.
But if they took, you know, they sell these things at Home Depot that are just like gigantic. They look like sails, but they're just pieces of canvas, and you can tie them up above your outdoor areas in your like. Sure, those would probably cost some money to maintain or replace every year or whatever. But I think given the amount of medical calls that they're going to be paying for at that stadium, their money would be better spent. You know?
Yeah.
Just personally.
Yeah.
And all stadiums.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing a football game in that Stanford Stadium sooner than later.
Yes. We shall all, I think, have a chance to talk about that at some point in the future here.
Hopefully.
Soon. I had a little bit of time away from my kids, though, this weekend while watching said football. We went on a little trip.
Cool.
And they were kind enough to go to their grandmother's house and stay there. And you know what, JJ? I like Jim Henson.
Okay. Are we going to talk about the...
Are you into this? Are you into Jim Henson? Can you
I don't know.
Name Jim Henson stuff. Can you name any Jim Henson stuff?
Yeah, I mean, like the Muppets.
Yeah,
the
that's
Muppet
a thing.
Show.
Mm-hmm, sure.
All those Muppet movies. I enjoyed the Muppets a lot and even to this day, I think they're still pretty good.
Uh-huh.
What was that one that was pretty recent? Was it Jason? Shoot, what's that actor's name?
Jason
the guy
Statham.
who was Jason. No. The guy who was on How I Met Your Mother and was in
that
the
was
Muppets.
a Muppet movie too, I think.
Yeah, it was a Muppet movie. I'm just trying to say the name of it because it was actually very good.
The Muppets, I think, is what it was called.
That is possible.
You're thinking of I think it was like 2011-ish.
Yeah, that sounds right.
With, this is great radio. Jason Segel. Jason.
Yes, that guy. Yes.
Yeah. Uh huh.
Yes. Anyway,
but also Jim Henson.
So I know Jim Henson has done other stuff besides that, and I know one of those
too because his son runs it still.
Yes.
So
yes. And I know one of the ones of those that is popular among other people, and I have not really seen is The Dark Crystal.
Oh, I was gonna go with Farscape, but
did they do that?
Yeah, they did.
Huh.
They also did that dinosaurs show.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they did the Where the Wild Things Are movie. But you're right. I really did want to talk about The Dark Crystal.
So, I don't think I've seen the original movie.
Okay. Did you
I don't know why. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I'm going to derail us for a second.
No, do it.
Why are The Dark Crystal and like Labyrinth always mentioned together?
Because they're both done by Jim Henson.
Okay. Did he do all the creatures and weird stuff in that movie also?
Yeah, and I think he wrote... I don't know if he wrote Labyrinth, but I'm pretty sure he wrote The Dark Crystal. I don't know how we do this without doing
No research. Someone send us corrections.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he directed, like wrote and directed.
I mean, his name is on The Dark Crystal. It's like Jim Henson's The Dark Crystal.
Yeah. My main question is whether he did as much with Labyrinth, because Labyrinth had some live action stuff going on.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's,
yeah,
a whole movie.
Yes, it's true. But with David Bowie and all those people, I don't know if
yeah.
I think it was like Jennifer Connelly too.
It is Jennifer Connelly, in fact, as like a very young child. That movie I've seen.
But Jim Henson had aspirations to direct things like that, so I think he probably did. And having done things that were so popular, like the Muppets and everything else, I'm pretty sure Labyrinth came after.
Yeah, Labyrinth was like
Crystal. Labyrinth was like
Dark Crystal was
late,
earlier, huh?
Yeah, I think Dark Crystal's earlier.
Okay.
Which was still post Muppets, I believe.
Right. Yeah, it was for sure. I'm pretty sure all that stuff was like mid to late 80s.
Okay. So lay out for me what you know about the Dark Crystal. Or none.
Yeah, I mean, like, there are some weird bird dudes.
Mm-hmm. Those are called the Skeksis.
Okay, see, I had no idea. There is a Dark Crystal.
Sure, yeah, there's one of those.
There's like a dude that kind of looks like Yoda.
It's a woman. Her name's Augur.
Okay, yep. I think that's what I got.
All right, cool.
I've seen like pictures and like short clips, but never anything sustained or even close to the full thing.
Okay. So imagine that you watched Return of the King, or like Return of the King was the first book written in
so like
the Lord of the Rings entirety, like
the final movie of Lord of the Rings that concludes all the storylines was the first book.
Yeah.
So you just lost the entire time. Just completely confused about anything that's going on.
Well, I mean, look, yes, but no, right? Like, imagine it was written first, so he brought you into the universe that way, right?
I see.
So like,
you arrive for the big climactic ending.
You arrive at the end of what is quote unquote the age, right?
Okay.
And for the turnaround, for the good that is coming next, right?
Got it.
And then you go back to The Hobbit later, and then fill in the rest of it in between there and the end. So the Dark Crystal movie, it turns out, is kind of like starting with Return of the King. And now they've done this Netflix show with Jim Henson's Creature Chop to kind of like go back, because there was so much stuff that they didn't explain in that movie.
So they've essentially done it's a series, or is it a movie?
Series? No research.
Okay.
It's a series. My questionable voice comes from, I don't know if it's supposed to go beyond the one season. It's a quote unquote series, but I don't know if it's a mini series or if it's going to continue. I have not finished it, so I have no idea what they end on.
It may be like a self-contained thing, potentially.
It may be, but I haven't finished it yet. But I know what it is and where they're going versus where the Dark Crystal movie is. So a little spoiler recap for the Dark Crystal. JJ.
Andrew.
Imagine there was one hobbit in Lord of the Rings that had to get the ring to Mordor.
There was one hobbit that had to get the ring.
Okay, but all the other hobbits had been exterminated.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Chosen one narrative?
It's kind of, yeah, basically like chosen one narrative. You have to get this piece of the Dark Crystal to the Dark Crystal to repair it.
Got it. And this will
This will
end the evil or whatever.
Yeah.
Save the land or
right. You don't know why the bird things, the Skeksis, are evil so much in the later film. You just know that they were created by Jim Henson to be evil, and so they look evil and act evil.
I mean,
there's a backstory.
Actions speak louder than words, so
sure. I mean, there's a backstory told in that movie of like, okay, well, the Skeksis and the Uru, which are the other bird creatures in the movie, are like part of the same race, and they need to. I don't want to get all into it. It's like a metaphysical thing.
Got it.
But like, imagine though, if then you wanted to go back and find out how there were only one hobbit left in the world, aka Gelfling, you could make a prequel, much like they're going to do for the Lord of the Rings on Amazon, right? Kind of.
God knows what that thing is going to turn
into. I have
into.
no clue. I mean, right? Yeah. But, you know, there's the whole backstory for Lord of the Rings about, like,
of course, and
whatever.
The Silmarillion is hundreds of pages of history text about the lore of that world. So,
right.
Yeah.
So this is in the middle, maybe, of, like, hey, the world of the Dark Crystal was created, and then 1,000 years, and then there's 1,000 years between this and the next thing that you've seen, which is the movie. So there's just kind of like plop this in the middle.
Okay, that's cool. So it's definitely like here's some stuff that maybe you saw hinted at in the future, but you know, they're kind of telling the story of it now. Yeah,
and all the bird creatures, you called them, the Skeksis, are the same. So if they're here, they're in the later one. Right, yeah. Mark Hamill voices one of them. Simon Pegg. Lived.
Oh wow, they got some like voices that I know.
Captain Lorca, Jason Isaacs.
I like Jason Isaacs.
Andy Samberg.
Shout out to our sub pod about Star Trek. People should go listen to the Subspace Transmissions.
They should.
We're watching Discovery, and Jason Isaacs is in that.
Yeah. So, when was the last time you watched a Muppet show?
It's been a bit, for sure.
Okay. So, when was the last time you watched Willow?
Oh, gosh. It's been a while, for sure. Quite a while.
I'm trying
more
to
than 10 years.
Compare maybe like a similar genre of fantasy, which maybe Willow is.
What about like Conan the Barbarian?
No. Conan is much darker and more adult than this.
Okay.
And less stuff going on. I was trying to think of like, because Willow had like monsters and stuff. You know?
Never-ending Story?
Yeah, okay. Never-ending Story.
Sure.
Also a Jim Henson? Not film, but like co-op? I think he may have done the puppets for that. There
were a lot of creatures and things in that movie. I didn't know if Jim Henson was there or not.
Somebody email us at podcast@weweregamers.com. Let us know. I don't know if Neverending Story 1 would have been a long time before, maybe.
What
year was Neverending, the first one?
80s. Like what specific year? I couldn't tell you.
Probably right in this range. Maybe they were too busy making his movies that they...
I don't know.
Okay. Well, we're not going to get into that one. Nope.
I mean, Neverending Story 1 is a...
classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
It is a lighthearted adventure tale with, you know, some stakes that get real at the end.
No kidding. Where was I?
You were trying to...
This is the end of the heat day that's getting to me.
You're trying to explain to me what this series is.
But what I'm trying to say is 80s fantasy films and their puppets have a look.
Yeah. I am...
What if you just made those HD?
Okay. So does everything look weird?
Nope.
Does it have the look like? This is like a very specific reference, and I don't know if you did this, but like when HD TVs first got higher refresh rates, and people had the like motion smoothing on their TVs or whatever, and everything looked like a soap opera kind of.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Does it look like that kind of?
No, the production quality of this show is very high.
Okay.
So it was filmed at the correct speeds, and the sets are extremely deep. They're not shallow and stage-like, like some of the older movies are. But
right.
It's very odd in 2019 to watch an expressionless puppet talk to another expressionless puppet.
Because you're so used to like computer animated faces or whatever that can move 8 billion.
Well, and even the Muppet
facial muscles.
Even the Muppet puppets, like Kermit's face moves all over the place and makes expressions.
Yeah, it's expressive, totally.
These are just not
kind of flat,
expressive, and I think what they did was try to stick too close to the source material. I wonder. Well, in the way that I am curious to know more things from the Silmarillion, and I would love to watch them, I still think that I'm curious about this. And
I mean, so you've watched some amount of it.
Yes.
Are you enjoying it?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's a win then, right?
Yeah.
You like it and it's fun to watch?
I do like it. I don't know if I like it because of the novelty of it or the fact that I love the Dark Crystal movie, or because the world is richer than I thought it was with lots of weird, cool backstory. But, I mean, spoilers, but we know where this is going, right? The main protagonists may win now, but they have to lose in the long run.
Right. I mean, the other story that's set in the future dictates it so, right?
Sure. So I wonder how they're going to keep that part interesting, because well, there's a few Skeksis that I don't know, so maybe those ones can bite the bullet or something, or be punished or change side. I don't know where those ones go, but most of them you're not like, oh, the main bad guy's going to go away,
Mm-hmm.
But, Sauron, you can't get rid of Sauron before the end of Sauron.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to get at,
Yeah, I mean, it's like, the Hobbit movies can't kill Sauron at the end.
Sure.
He needs to be there, right?
Sure. So it's like watching a documentary on World War II,
Sure. Yeah.
Kind of, in a weird way.
Or like the prequel Star Wars movies in some ways, where you're like, oh, I know at the end of this, it goes bad for this guy.
Sure, yeah. Do I still care about Anakin Skywalker? Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see if these movies are as good or if these shows are better than the prequel movies. Which,
it's an interesting strategy to say, this is a beloved film. We're not going to make a sequel. We'll make a prequel show and try and get people to watch it. Anyway,
it's definitely a thing that people like. Clearly, like I've heard people for years talk about, like, oh, this is like the secret best one of these or whatever.
Oh,
so
Dark Crystal is very, very dark overall. So this is kind of it's so far a lighter heart. I take that back, because spoilers, a character just gets dusted in like the third episode.
Well, they're not pulling punches.
No. So I don't know what way it's headed. It's good. It's good in that way.
I have wanted to check it out. It's on my list of like, I should watch this sometime.
I'm going to put something else on your list for the future as we wrap up this kind of Ramblesode.
Mm-hmm.
We know we're going to do Evangelion. We have a short list left on this podcast. We got some more component classes to do, and then we're going to do computer build. Mm-hmm. We've got some Evangelion to watch.
Yeah.
We've got a Star Wars episode or two to do.
Mm-hmm.
With some rankings.
Yeah, we talked about doing that. We should do that.
JJ, I want to put 12 20-minute episodes on your list at some point. It can be after we talk about it or whatever, but I think you should watch also One Punch Man.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
I've heard people talk about that in some ways also, so.
I knocked those out before I watched this Dark Crystal thing, but there you have it.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about it till we can. It's revelatory, but only when you're talking about other anime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it needs a comparison point, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Ramblesode complete. If you have any clarifications for us on all the terrible mistakes we made about 80s movies.
Forgot. Yeah. Please correct all our timeline of all these movies and who's actually involved in what.
You don't need to tell me that Wolfgang Peterson directed Neverending Story. I know that part. I want to know whether or not Jim Henson did the characters. That's what I want to know.
Right. And send that, please, to the email address, which is podcast@wewergamers.com. Also, you can send it to our Twitter, which is also @wewergamers and @wewergamers on Instagram. It's cool. We want to know.
Michael will be back next week, and he'll get us back on track, we promise.
Remains to be seen.